And he said, no, but do you know how many consultants and coaches that I've had over the years come and talk to me about business and life and leadership and all this kind of stuff? Dude, you've probably been a senior executive / CEO for a number of years now. I would imagine you've had quite a few. He said, yes. And he said, you know how many people have told me what you just got done telling me? And I won't share the details, but I made an assessment and an observation of his culture based on, I had some receipts. Okay, I had the receipts for my observation. So I wasn't just like pulling stuff out of my thin air. And so he said, nobody in all my years of getting coaches and consultants and stuff has ever told me the observation about my culture that you did. And it was a painful truth that you told me, Noble, but you did it in a way that you delivered a painful truth in a way that we could receive it and not get defensive or angry or upset. And he said, because you built trust with us. Because I did a workshop for them the previous year. He's like, and so we all trust you, and we know that you wouldn't tell us some BS stuff. Like, we know. So I'm like, wow, dude, thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome to the EQ Gangster podcast, where you will learn practical tools to grow your mental and emotional health and intelligence to be the best version of yourself, both at work and at home. It is real, raw, and transformational. The journey of emotional growth isn't easy, but it's worth it. I believe in you.
EQ Gangsters, what's up? Hey, so for my YouTube folks, my bean is cold. It was a little chilly this morning, so I have my hoodie on. So just bear with me. I'm not trying to go. Now, if I had my beard, I could go full Gandalf. In fact, that was one of my nicknames. Yeah, I totally forgot about this. He'll never listen to this, so I can say this. I can't say his name, but this guy, when I spent some time recently overseas, there was a guy who called me, because when I was overseas, I had my big gangster beard. He called me Fat Gandalf. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I totally forgot about that nickname. Oh my gosh, Fat Gandalf, y'all. How about that? That's next level nickname right there. I am thankful for friends. I'm thankful for smart people, because he's a secret squirrel. And I said, okay, dude, like, tell me what you do, right? Because I don't know. And like, you could tell me 25 classified things right now. You could tell me one classified thing right now, and there's a 99% chance I'm not going to remember in 5 minutes. Number two, not just refer back to number one, but number two, I'm not going to even understand what you say that you do, because it's way above my pay grade. And sure enough, he went into this deep dive, and literally after 15 minutes, I told him, bro, my eyes are glazed over, dude. I stopped understanding what you said after "this is what I do." So how long is that? 3 seconds? Like, dude, I can't even explain it to you guys, to the audience, if I wanted to try to explain it. He is a secret squirrel that does stuff that I literally can't even pretend to understand or make up what this guy does. It's something secret squirrel, and I have no idea what it is, even after a 15-minute explanation, and he wasn't even warmed up yet with what he does. So I'm thankful for friends and super smart people, and I'm thankful for super smart people as friends. I'm thankful for, I'm thankful for being the dumbest guy in almost every room I walk into. I'm very grateful for that. So it's not hard for me to walk in and I'm not the smartest person in the room. So there's benefits, y'all, benefits. And And I love it because everybody knows something that I don't know. Everybody is smarter than me at something. Everybody is better than me at something. So there's always something to learn. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. Even if it's a an emotionally unhealthy person or emotionally unhealthy leader, like I'm grateful. There's some folks that I've had some very difficult conversations with recently, and they one in particular that pops up in my brain is amazing heart and very low EQ, which has real world work consequences, professional consequences, not even to mention all the personal consequences. So that's what, anyway, those are some things I'm grateful for. And I'm grateful for flowers and roses and dead roses. I didn't know that dead roses actually smell. Like they still have a really cool smell to them. I'm thankful for seasons, cycles of life. Winter, spring, summer, fall. I'm grateful for all four seasons. Personally, in my own life and also in nature. And I'm grateful for the systems that God created in the universe, some of which we know, and most of which we don't even know yet. We haven't even been discovered yet. Okay, so this episode is going to be about. Let's see. I've got a few episodes. I got a ton of episodes coming, but this one is going to be about how, I guess maybe how well you know yourself. So, and I feel a little uncomfortable even sharing this because it is going to be a little bit of a, I hate to even say humble brag. It's a comment that a CEO made to me that I've never had a CEO tell me before. And the point is not what he said. The point is the question that a buddy of mine asked me about what the CEO said to me. Okay, if that makes sense. So a whole other side note to the side note to the side note. I'm so sorry, guys, for all of you that are dominant personalities and conscientious personalities that maybe listen to my podcast, and maybe I'm such a squirrel that you guys can't even listen to the podcast. I will get back on task, on point here in a second. Simon Sinek, I heard, made I watched one of his reels, and one of the comments he made was, it's fascinating who you feel you can tell bad news to. If something bad happened to you, who do you call? He said, what's fascinating is the circle of people that you can share good news with is often even smaller than the circle of who you would tell bad news to. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. Somebody that can genuinely be excited for your success or your whatever, accolades, promotion, bonuses, compliments, whatever, and not feel jealous and not feel, but just genuinely be excited for you. So I talked to this one of those people in my life, and I told him this because we hadn't caught up in a long time. It's, I don't know, 6 months to a year, maybe. No, is it maybe? Well, yeah, maybe 6 months. And I was just telling him that I had this recent engagement, couple-week engagement, and I really called the leadership team and the executive team, the C-suite, and the CEO on the carpet in a professional, safe way. And I'll spare those gory details. Maybe that'll be a story for another time. The CEO, during one of the lunch breaks, came up to me, and he's an engineer by training. So he's a pretty serious, focused, process guy. He comes up to me and kind of gets in my face. He's a pretty big guy. Not many people are. I'm a fairly big guy. He's probably about my size, and maybe a little taller. And comes up to me and says, "Hey, very serious, right? And again, for those of you on YouTube, you can see like my hand is like he was all up in my business, right? And so I'm kind of a little bit, step back a little bit because he's pretty serious. And I wasn't sure where he's got a kind of serious look on his face because he's that's his default, right? Is serious. And he says, "No, but I want to give you feedback." And I said, "Dude, I'd love it. Like, what can I work on? What can I improve? How can I improve the workshop or whatever? Like what?" He said, "That was the greatest presentation workshop I've ever had in my life." I'm kind of I'm kind of waiting for the punchline. Like, okay, is he busting my chops? Is he giving me a hard time? And he's about to give me a bunch of feedback. Like, hey, dude, you need to fix these 3, 4, 5 different areas or whatever. And so I said, hey, do can I ask why? That's thank you, I think, or is there like another shoe that's coming about to drop? And he said, no, but do you know how many consultants and coaches that I've had over the years come and talk to me about business and life and leadership and all this kind of stuff? Dude, you've probably been a senior executive / CEO for a number of years now. I would imagine you've had quite a few. He said, yes. And he said, you know how many people have told me what you just got done telling me? And I won't share the details, but I made an assessment and an observation of his culture based on, I had some receipts. Okay, I had the receipts for my observation. So I wasn't just like pulling stuff out of my thin air. And so he said, nobody in all my years of getting coaches and consultants and stuff has ever told me the observation about my culture that you did. And it was a painful truth that you told me, Noble, but you did it in a way that you delivered a painful truth in a way that we could receive it and not get defensive or angry or upset. And he said, because you built trust with us. Because I did a workshop for them the previous year. He's like, and so we all trust you, and we know that you wouldn't tell us some BS stuff. Like, we know. So I'm like, wow, dude, thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that feedback. Well, anyway, so I was telling my buddy this. My buddy has my buddy has a very, he was in the NFL of the military. So very elite background, my buddy. And he literally played, and not just played in the NFL, he played on the best team in the NFL. And so he said, Noble, why do you think that? So he said, man, that's so awesome. I'm so excited. He said, I'm not surprised to hear that. He said, why do you think that is? Why do you think he told you that? Like, why you? Like, he said, basically, he said, why you and not all these other big baller coaches and consultants that are from, because he lives up, this one guy anyway, he's had some high speed coaches and consultants. Why Noble? Why do you think he said, why do you think you, Noble, were the only coach consultant that has ever been able to deliver this truth to him that nobody else has? Is what he was essentially asking me. And I said, wow, dude, I have no idea. I said, I think one thing is because I have been working on not being such a people pleaser. And so, look, you're paying me to give you truth or to reveal truth, not pay you. You're not paying me to tell you what I think you want to hear. You're not paying me to stroke your ego. You're not paying me to do a happy dance or to do rainbows, unicorns, and skittle farts. Like, you're paying me to reveal truth that will ultimately lead to change, that will ultimately help grow your team and your company and impact not only the current customers and hopefully grow your business. So people pleasing, I'm getting better at it. Not that it's gone, but I'm getting better at it. He's like, okay. He said, okay, that's one thing. He's like, let me tell you what I think it is, and then you tell me, because he and I have known each other for a long time, probably 20 some years. The point of the story is this: how well do you know yourself? How well do you know what makes you unique? How well do you know what your superpowers are? And it really caught me off guard when he said, well, why do you think it was you instead of all these big baller business consultants and coaches that have come from Ivy League schools and all this kind of stuff? But Noble, I'm not from Ivy League school. I'm not from Harvard or McKinsey or Deloitte or, whatever the fancy consulting companies are. It's, it's just Noble. And so it caught me off guard. And I thought, dang, man, I should probably not only know that answer, but I should probably embrace that answer. What, in terms of leadership and leader development and coaching leaders and developing leaders, I should probably know what is my three questions. What is my unique difference? What's my overt benefit, reason to believe, dramatic difference, overt benefit, and reason to believe? What is my overt benefit, dramatic difference, and reason to believe? That's from old book back in the days called Selling to Vito, VITO, very important top officer. What is my superpower? What makes Noble unique among the sea of other executives and other coaches and other leader developers out there? What makes Noble unique? And that's what was jarring to me about my buddy's question to me, is I hadn't thought about that question. I was just excited about, dang, like this guy, this big chief CEO of a, decent sized company gave me this feedback, and it was just, it felt affirming to me that I was on the right path and track as a leader developer. So, do you know what your superpower is? How can you tell what your superpower is? And then once you get it dialed in, how can you develop it? How can you become world class at your superpower? And maybe you have two or three superpowers. There's another friend of mine, one of my classmates. She reached out to me, checked in on me. She helped me out through a kind of a valley that I was in, year or two ago. And she's got a high-speed background, and she's like, oh, I just finished this other coaching like she's a psychologist. So she's got her PhD in psychology. So she's a psychologist, practicing clinical psychologist, and just finished her coaching certification. And she's like, oh, I just started my coaching business too on the side. And I'm like, I don't have any of that fancy stuff. Not that I don't want it. I just, it's not been my path. I love learning, but it's not been my path. So there are just some people with multiple superpowers, right? So, and she's incredibly gifted and talented. And there are some people that have multiple superpowers. Well, what are your superpowers, and how can you become world class at them? How can you become intentional at those superpowers? And what is your game plan? What is your personal leader development plan program to become world class in one or two of your superpowers? And I don't recommend pursuing more than that. If you're just wanting to be a jack of all trades, then fine, pursue multiple stuff. But in terms of mastery, if you want mastery in something, it probably needs to be one thing, which I know is tough, especially if you're young, listen to this podcast, this YouTube channel. That may be like, well, dude, I don't know yet. I'm still figuring out, which is also fine. But just be collecting data on your superpowers. What are you getting recognized for? What are you getting complimented on? How long have you been complimented? In what areas of your life have you been complimented in the most? since childhood. Go back to childhood. What are those themes of affirmation and confirmation that you've gotten throughout your life? How can you maybe expand on, grow, maybe brush the dust off some of those superpowers that maybe you've left on the shelf for a hot minute? And how can your emotional fitness program play into the development of and pursuit of becoming world class at said superpower? So your emotional health and fitness, your personal and professional circles and lives are worth becoming as emotionally healthy and emotionally fit as you possibly can be. And of course, spiritually, physically, mentally, socially also. You're worth it. You're worth it. You matter and you make a difference.